See, our children will take their lead from us. You see, we have sold our birthright for a method part. The Bible says that the fearful and the unbelieving will have their plot in the lake that burns with fire. You see, either we're going to be men and women or we're going to die as cowards, leaving the legacy of our cowardice to our children. You see, as parents, what a responsibility you have. God has endowed you with taking care of a human being. Who are you to shirk your responsibility? You see, if you don't demand excellence for your children, they will hate your shadow. This is why I love the sister Harriet Tubman. When I researched my subject here, this is why I love the sister. She said, she looked around and she said, I don't want to be a slave. She said, I want to be free because God made me free. You see, she said, nobody can enslave me if God made me free. So she looked around and she surveyed the area. And she looked for some men. But there were no men. They were shacking up. They were making babies and leaving their babies without fathers. They were playing Xbox and PlayStation while the real men were writing constitutions and building nations. You see, it's all right to play PlayStation and Xbox. I have no problem with that. But if you use it as a means for recreation, no problem. But if you use it as a source of your life, you are agent to your own suicide. You see, Harriet Tubman, she looked around and she said, I'm going to dream for those of you who refuse to dream. You see, she said, I'm going to dream for you even if you don't want to be free. I'm going to shoot you, so therefore you'll be free even in death. I say we need some strong-willed people like that today. You see, my subject today is what other people think about you ain't none of your business. You see, we're at a time of war. Not only in Afghanistan and Iraq. We have been in a war since we have came to the shores of North America. Excuse me. Since we were dragged to the shores of North America. We came here in the hulls of ships, stacked and packed like sardines, living in our own excrement. And you see, we can't forget that. That's right. We feel ashamed to tell our children of our humble existence. Why are we the only community that feels ashamed? We should be prideful to tell them this is where you came. As I was discussing with my son as we rode here, this is where you came from. But look where you are now. You understand? See, Paul said, I love this. He said, we are not at war against flesh and blood, but against principles and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. Yes, sir. You see, what kind of war, Paul, are you talking about?
Come on now.
He's talking about a war of ideology, doctrine, and philosophy. You see, you have people out there competing for your mind. You have people out there who are competing for your thoughts and even your very soul. You have to understand that we are people no matter where we have been in our space and time. Whether on the plantation of Louisiana or marching through the streets of Birmingham on Bloody Sunday. We have always been a people who have known God. There is no way we could have survived such brutality and malice if we didn't know God. You see, we always knew God was bigger than prejudice. We knew that if Jesus could raise the dead and make the blind see and heal the leper. We knew that slavery was going to pass. We knew that God was bigger than anything and anybody that was trying to suppress us. You see, the solution has always been ours. It is that love for God. After 300 years of being used as a toy by the slave master, even as a punching bag for us men who didn't know your true worth, sister. You put us on your shoulders. You put a bottle in our mouth and you carried our community for us. Even after all the psychologists called you welfare queens. Even after all of the social scientists inculcated to you that your skin is ugly, your hair is nappy, your lips are too big, and your hips are too wide. You didn't care what other people thought about you because you still produced the Harriet Tubman, a Soldier Truth, a Fannie Lou Hamer, a Rosa Parks, a Oprah Winfrey, and a Condoleezza Rice. You see, you didn't care what anybody thought of you. You just did the heavy lifting because you had to do it. You see, we have always been a people of great hope. You see, we knew about the audacity of hope before it was a bestseller. You know, some people were surprised by this revelation. Oh, honey, let's go to Barnes & Noble and get the audacity of hope. What a great book. You see, we are the manifestations of that book. We are the book. You see, our community has always placed its hope in God. You see, even when we were singing from can't see morning to can't see night with our hands calloused and our feet blistered, no one could ever break our spirit because we knew somehow, some way, change was going to come. The slave master wouldn't allow us in the church. You see, that was too much for the likes of us at that time. The sanctuary, we weren't quite pure enough. So, being the innovators that we are, the progenitors that we are, we took the church to the field. You see, we were singing to stop the cotton from hurting our hands. We were singing to stop the pain in our back from the long days of work and too little sleep at night. You see, we had to have church every day. We couldn't wait till Sunday like we do today. You see, we were working 15-hour days and even longer nights. Now we are so affluent. I walk from my car, from my house to my car, to my work where I sit down for 8 hours and baby, I'm tired. I can't help you with your homework. But grandmama worked 15-hour days. You see, now we needed church every day. Now we intellectualize if we're going to go to church on Sunday. Yeah. We intellectualize because we're so smart now. We're so affluent. Maybe I need God and maybe I don't. You see, we started having church in the field because it was a solace to us. We didn't care about your denomination and affiliation. We just knew that you were next to me and I was struggling. You knew the person was struggling because it didn't matter time or place when you sung the song, go down, Moses, way down into Pharaoh's land, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. You knew that the person next to you knew what that meant. You knew that these songs were not just songs. They were songs that sustained your hope and fueled your faith. You see, the church was the instrument, not one of the instruments. It was the sole instrument that got us through slavery. You understand? Because they realized, as Paul said, that we were at war. You see, we needed something to get us through. We needed something to help us because we knew that we had to fight and struggle for the futures of our babies. What other people think about you ain't none of your business. I want to say something to you, and I want you to hear me carefully, especially those who have kids and those who are seeking to have children. I like to tell this story not for my own aggrandizement, but to let you know you just never know who a person is. You see the bio and you see the testimony, but you don't know the test. You don't know that the man standing before you was in special ed. You don't know that I failed the 9th grade. We're just so caught up in all of our bios and our titles. You don't know that my mom had to come and fight with the assistant principal because she said, I know my child can read because he reads the Bible with me every night. You see, that's the role of the mother. That's the role of the father, not to ride around bling-blinging. You see, you criticize the children for sagging. Why are they sagging? They're sagging because they want you to know they're alive. Yet you criticize them, but we ride around in our grand vehicles hoping that somebody will notice us. So maybe you need to be a little humble. You wanted to be noticed when you had your Jerry curl. I'm just talking today. With family, I'm just talking. You wanted to be noticed when you had on your flare legs. You wanted somebody to say that you were cool, but now you're going around browbeating our kids. You need to stand by them and lift them up. You understand? I was that kid. You don't know that I was on a Texas street, shot with a bullet in my back, beaten with a shovel, trying to live the thug life? You don't know that because we only get a snapshot of the bio. You don't know 6 months after being shot, I thought it was my duty to go and get the boy who shot me. You don't know that I had a double-barrel shotgun in my hand, getting ready to blow his head to the smithereens. You don't know that it was a man who came to me and said, young boy, if you do that, you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. You don't know because I respected him. I took his advice, and I'm here today because of that. What if he would have walked by and say, look at him, you little thug? You understand, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. We have always been a courageous people who have taken our children, lifted our children, hugged our children, and made them deem worthy. This is the purpose of Black History Month. This is the purpose of us being here today on this early morning. What other people think about you ain't none of your business. Thank you for listening.